view of what happened at the forum, second day of the World Economic Forum on Africa, happening in Abuja. And we're host broadcasters, channels, television, bringing it to you live. But we also have a participant who's been in almost all of the sessions, and I was going to actually ask him how he managed it.
How he
to be
managed
in almost all the
because
sessions.
most of the sessions were running concurrently.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Babs Omotoa, MD, CEO of the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, as we said, how did you manage to be in almost all the sessions? Those are running concurrently.
Now, thank you first for having me on your show on the Channels TV, which I think has been able to project this event also to the world. So thank you for having me. I think it's been a great day for Nigeria, an opportunity to host the world and to be able to demonstrate also the capabilities that Nigeria has. So I've been very happy about the whole day. Of course, quite a lot of sessions today, a lot to take in, but very interesting sessions. Right from the beginning, from the opening with the Chinese Premier and our President as well, giving hope, giving inspiration to the continent. And from there onwards, all the various breakout sessions and sessions have been excellent.
What would you say? Did you notice anything like the drive to, because almost everything that's been talked about today has been about moving the continent forward, maximizing opportunities, overcoming challenges, moving to the next level. Would you say you saw a drive or a determination, or did you feel the vibes? Any vibes like that it's time to move forward, it's time to take this continent to the next level?
No, I think right from the speech of even the President, I think that flowed through the whole sessions. Everywhere, I think the key focus areas of forging inclusive growth and creating jobs was something that everyone was very passionate about. I think, the continent has shown so much potential over the years in terms of its growth potential. And I think everyone was very keen to see how we could harness this and move the continent forward. So I think there was no doubt about the excitement in the room. There was no doubt about the level of participation and quality of discussions. And I think our challenge is indeed to now translate a lot of what has been discussed into concrete steps to really move the continent forward.
Now let me take you back a little bit. Looking at those potentials that was highlighted and looking at the global LNG development as a whole, what opportunities are there for Africa? Let's talk about Africa, then we'll talk about Nigeria.
Indeed, Africa is, has more than 10% of the world's global energy reserves. Oil, we have over 135 billion barrels of oil reserves. Gas, we have over 500 TCF of gas reserves. Nigeria, Angola, Libya, Egypt, these have been traditional oil and gas countries. But even in recent times, we have been able to discover more gas in places like Mozambique, in Tanzania, in Kenya. So clearly, without a doubt, I think Africa is blessed with natural resource for gas, and it provides a huge opportunity for us on many dimensions. One, it helps us in our drive to have infrastructures in place. So power, for example, a lot of that gas reserves and gas resources goes into power production in the continent. But also even for exports, which is where my company comes in, to be able to generate the significant revenues that are needed to also build the infrastructures that you need to move this forward. So I think Africa is indeed very, very fortunate to have the results we have. It's now left for us to turn this into wealth for our people and to make the continent move forward and take its place.
So is the story, so is the story the same for Nigeria?
Nigeria's story, I think, is even much more advanced than many other countries. Remember, Nigeria has had oil and gas for more than 50 years now. And over that period, we've been able to indeed generate quite a lot for the government. We have indeed, of recent times, started to do a lot more in the area of power generation and looking for gas for power generation. And those conversations are ongoing to be able to create the enabling environment that will allow us to exploit the gas, make it available for the power consumption required locally. But Nigeria stands in a very good position. The growth we've seen in Nigeria, 6-7% in the last few years. You must also remember that oil and gas has been a key part of that as well.
With the growth that's expected now, with the conversations that are going on, massive growth is expected. Massive investment is also expected. That means there'll be a greater demand for gas. How would that work out? How prepared are you for the you asked the opportunities for Africa, but how prepared, how ready are we for that greater demand that's likely to come?
I think from a number of perspectives, fortunately for us in Nigeria, we have a lot of gas reserves. We have already 187 TCF of gas reserves. Our utilization of that today is even less than half of that. But already we know we have even more than 600 TCF of gas reserves that we haven't even gone after. So our problem is not availability of gas. Our challenge in Nigeria is to be able to build the infrastructures required, build the facilities necessary to be able to get this gas to power stations where they are required, petrochemical facilities where they are required, and to be able to secure that. So our challenge is more of the non-technical type risk. It's about, do we have the right policies in place? Do we have the right security environment to make sure that the facilities are secured? Do we have the right resources to be able to, human and other equipment to be able to utilize this? So I think the opportunities are there. We just now need to put our act together in all these areas that I've mentioned: infrastructures, policies, regulations, and get going with the capacity to improve on our power generation in the country.
What about skills development? In what area is NLNG looking at doing that? Because we're going to see a massive incursion of investments, and you definitely have to have the skills to carry it out. So what is NLNG doing?
I mean, if there's any area I'm very proud of, is the area of skills development by Nigeria LNG. I think over the years we have demonstrated without a shadow of doubt that we are committed to developing skills in Nigeria, and I will share with you a few examples. Over the years we have been very involved in creating what we call the Boni Vocation Center, which is a vocation school that trains quite a lot of people in the skills that are required to work in the oil and gas industry, skills like welding and all of that, which unfortunately today we still import people from outside the country to come and do. But we have built a facility and are training people in that place. Every year we have thousands of scholarships that we award to children, students, both from primary to secondary to university, and even we send people abroad to go and develop their skills. Thousands of people in those areas. We have also had our Science and Literature Prize, you may be aware, for more than 10 years, $100,000 available for the best Nigerians to be able to showcase their capacity in literature and science. And this has indeed seen tremendous improvement. At the last Literature Award, the renowned Professor J.P. Clark highlighted that the outputs of our Literature Prize has been shocking to him, because the quality of what has come out after 10 years is such a pride to the literary community, and this is something that we have created. But we don't stop on that. I mean, we are also concerned that the quality of our universities, they need support, they need help. While there's no doubt that the government is responsible to be able to develop these skills, private sectors have a role to play to support that. And about 2 months ago, we launched our university support scheme, where we are putting 2 billion naira to 6 universities, so $2 million each, to be able to build the engineering faculties, equip them, and to be able to help further develop them. And one last thing I'll mention, just on skills development. We recently awarded contracts for the building of 6 ships in South Korea. Shipbuilding, you may know, is not something we have developed capacity for in Nigeria. But at the back of that, we have reached agreement with these builders to train a lot of Nigerians. Just 2 days ago, 60 Nigerians left for South Korea to join the construction of these ships, and we'll be having much more of them joining, so that they would acquire the skills, shipbuilding skills. And we are working with others as well to be able to also create the capacity to build ships in Nigeria, so that when these people come back as well, they have places to go. So in LNG, I think we have shown without a doubt that we are very, very committed to Nigeria and committed to skills development.
Okay, Mr. Motor, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Mr. Motor about the issues that might arise with how much they intend to earn, how much they need to make, and how much they need to put back onto the continent to ensure that local utilization of the products they produce is maximized. We'll be back shortly. Please don't go away. We still have the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas, Mr. Motowa, in the studio. Mr. Motowa, before we went on break, we said when we'll come back, we'll ask you a question that has to do with how much you intend to earn and how much is required. Most of your product is exported. But with the growth, inclusive growth that is being talked about at the World Economic Forum, there will be that higher demand for gas. I asked that question. Plus also, it appears one would think that your activities are also encouraging African countries to stay as mono economies, because most of them are dependent on the oil and gas industry. They are mono economies. So how can we forge forward local utilization plus mono economies and diversification?
I think to answer your question, I think I can use an example like Australia. Australia has less than 60% of the gas reserves that Nigeria has. Yet Australia has been able to generate more than 40,000 megawatts of power, develop its petrochemical industries, and exports much more LNG. In fact, it plans to export 4 times the LNG that Nigeria exports. So the issue in Nigeria, as we've always been very clear about, is that gas reserves we have more than abundant. It's more than abundant. 187 TCF, 600 TCF probable. So our challenge is to be able to focus on what we call the above surface challenges. It's not the below surface challenges that we have. And so once you think about that, then you can think about the exportation of gas enables us to earn revenue to be able to build infrastructures. You need to build infrastructures to be able to develop the economies. If you don't have the revenue, even if you have all the gas, you cannot build this infrastructure. So I think there's enough for being able to do the exports, yet build the capacities internally. And I think we just need to work together, private and public sector, to make that happen.
Okay, you didn't say anything about the mono economies. Well, I'm sure on the later date, Mr. Motta will be able to answer that question about encouraging mono economies and diversification.
Very true.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, it's been WEF for today, a look at a summary of the activities that have been going on at the World Economic Forum on Africa, happening in Abuja, the nation's federal capital territory. More of details and whatever you thought you might have missed, just go to our website. That's channelstv.com, or on YouTube, youtube.com/channelsweb, and you can get more of this on WEFA.
Yes.
And other headlines on those websites. But if you need to be on the go, it's m.channelstv.com, and you see us on your mobile devices. Plus, you can follow us on Twitter, channelstv_NG_TV.
No,
channelstv_NG with the hashtag
WEFA.
WEFA. Thank you so much, and have yourself a good night. I am Nel Taigwe.
I'm Harriet. Thanks for being a part of it.